Hi, my name is Tomasz and you're watching Casual DIY channel. In today's video we'll be making a jig for my mitre saw. So stick around and watch the video. I wanted to give my mitre saw a little bit more flexibility when it comes to cutting smaller pieces. Obviously it's fairly difficult to clamp small pieces onto a mitre saw, and holding it with your fingers or anything like that could be fairly dangerous. And on top of that, obviously the clearance plate over here, the clearance is absolutely massive, so it's no good for smaller pieces either. So with this jig we're going to have a safe way to clamp smaller items. We're going to sort out the zero clearance plate, and it will give the mitre saw far more flexibility. So let's start building. For this particular project I'm going to be using 18mm plywood. So the first thing we need to do is to make a base plate. My mitre saw can reach up to 33 centimeters, so that's how deep the base will be, and the width will be at 52 centimeters. And now we're going to cut the back fence to the right size as well. And in this case I'm just using my mitre saw. Okay then, so we've got our base like so, we've got our fence as well like this. So the next thing we need to do is, I don't want to actually have these corners, so I've done some lines and I'm going to cut off these corners with my circular saw, and then we're going to attach the back fence. Now I'm just going to route out the channel that will accommodate the T-tracks. So as you can see, we cut out the triangle shape in the fence, and that's to allow basically the blade guard of the mitre saw to come down. Now it's time to attach the fence onto the base. Now, how to attach the jig to the mitre saw? Usually in the fence they actually got some holes, and that's what we're going to be using in this case. Just making an amendment to my fence as part of the engine was being blocked by it. Now we're going to do a first test cut on the jig itself, but please remember, do not cut through the whole board. My mitre saw has got actually a depth stop, so I'm going to be using that. To be fair, you can cut through the jig itself, but obviously it's then going to be a little bit harder to reattach it. And as I mentioned before, you don't really have to cut it through, as you know, you're going to be putting the wood on top of the jig. Right then, so our jig is more or less ready. As you can see, I took it off because the next step is basically to attach the T-tracks. Now, because I'm only using 18mm plywood, I cannot screw the track onto the base plate. Now, instead of that, I'm actually going to use a 5-minute epoxy to glue it on. I've done it in the past and I had no issues with it, so that's what I'm going to do in this case as well. I've added some Danish oil just to protect the jig so it doesn't get warp or anything like that. So it basically, hopefully will protect it from moisture in the air, so the plywood will not work too much. Now, as you can see, we've got a lot of option for clamping. We've got the angled one, and obviously we've got a normal straight one as well that's parallel to the fence. Now, you can obviously clamp from each side, and I think this gives you a lot of flexibility. Obviously, as you can see, the fence is quite high, especially on the left side. Obviously on the right side it had to be trimmed down because of the engine of the machine. That gives you a lot of scope when you've got some larger pieces, maybe a bit taller, and the fence would be actually perfect for that. Now, obviously, as you can imagine, I'm going to be making some cool clamping things for this jig as well. At the minute, I've just got a normal T-track clamps, as you can see on the video, but I will be making some in the future. So, as you guessed it, if you're not a subscriber and you want to find out what I'm going to make, subscribe to my channel and press that bell notification button so you will always be notified when my next video will come out. But let's have a look, let's test it bad boy and see how it performs. And as you can see, the jig works perfectly. Really nice and simple design, but it will make my life a lot easier and obviously safer. As I mentioned before, I will mainly be using it for smaller pieces, but obviously with a zero clearing fence now you can do a lot more and you can be a lot more precise than you have been before, and the clamping ability is far greater than I had before. I hope this actually inspired you and you'll be able to make something similar for your miters, or if you actually need such a jig. As I mentioned before, I will try to make some additional DIY clamping solutions for this, so you can expect that video in near future. But for today, guys, that's all. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was some value to you. If it was, drop me that like button down below. If you got some questions, you know where the comment section is. And obviously, as always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you on my next woodworking adventure. Till then, take care.